Economist Professor Godfred Bokpin says the 2020 budget presented by the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta reflects reality. Speaking on PM Express last night with Evans Mensah, Professor Bokpin believes that though Ghana is not out of the woods yet, some progress has been made.
To a large extent, the budget reflects reality to a very large extent. I think that we are not out of the woods yet as a country because largely we have made some progress. I mean, if you look at the statistics, but of course, if you look at overall GDP, it looks quite improved. But of course, when you look at the decomposition, we see mixed results in terms of some of the subsectors. And that is also a fact in terms of water, sewage, electricity, and all of that. So we see some of those mixed performance from the sub-categorization. But overall, as a country, we've made some progress. The question is, could we have done better? And I think we could have done better. When you look at the way the budget has been positioned, especially for 2020, you can see clearly it has embraced the 2020 election. And therefore, the benchmark for comparison is essentially the previous government. But because that benchmark looks particularly weak, when you compare what we are doing now to that, it portrays that we have done very, very well. But it's simply because that benchmark was particularly weak. So if we had to compare ourselves to the Mahama administration, it may suggest that we have done extraordinarily well and we are likely to start pumping champagne. But I think that we should have a better benchmark to do so because Ghana, despite the progress that we have made, we are growing far below our potential. We have a negative output, a gap that we have to be able to close to the benefit of Ghanaians. We have seen some level of progress, especially in terms of the macro level variables, because it's no longer the talk in town, because inflation is stable, exchange rate is stable, interest rate is heading downwards, and all of that. So once you see all of that, the human tendency is to look beyond that and then look at how these things are reflecting in the pocket of Ghanaians. Apart from the tax revisions, and some, of course, will result in savings in the pocket of ordinary Ghanaians. It may not be that much, but if you look at it within the overall context of government financial management, it may seem a lot to government because we don't have physical space to do a lot of things. And when you look at from where the opposition is coming from, I think I also agree to some extent because if you look at the way the non-oil real sector is responding, it's not doing quite well. And the reason also is because government is not spending appropriately when it comes to capital spending, infrastructure. And that is a problem, and that is a fact. The data speaks to that largely. And the reason, and this is not intentional, and it's not peculiar to the MPP alone. You can look at this right from 2012, 2013, 2014, 15, 16, and all of that. Because when you see the growth in expenditure, especially wages and salaries, broadly compensation of employees, and then you look at the growth in our interest payment, these two items alone have taken almost all the space. And that leaves nothing, practically nothing for government to do infrastructure financing, which is needed in enhancing the growth drivers of the economy. And where I think government should do better has to do with our revenue side.
Meanwhile, a section of the public have been given the assessment of the government and the 2020 budgets presented by the Finance Minister.
The aspect that were not much favorable was too much politicking, and it's too much reference to 2016 as a basis. We have moved on. There's been so much activity in between 2016 and now, and so you can't go back and be using those same assessments as a basis of good performance in 2019. For me, there was no innovation, but a reference to a taxes which was referred to as nuisance taxes. Indeed, these taxes were, established with a sunset clauses. They were due to lapse some years back. If you have continued it and have increased the rate, you don't go back and say, oh, we've cancelled nuisance taxes and we've done this and we've done that. No. For me, that was a no-no.
The Finance Minister presented a budget As usual, for me, I don't see any innovative initiative in the budget. It has been the old rhetoric in the year on, and government come, government gone. You see, so when we come to the specific, all Ghanaians were talking about how the government will raise revenue, and throughout the budget, I didn't see any initiative that will be a paradigm shift in how we can mobilize our revenue, this dwindling revenue that we are having.
We Ghanaians, you don't understand about anything about the budget. They should stop reading the budget for us. Both NDC, MPP, CPP, PNC, we don't need anybody. The person we need the person who is faithful to God to come and be a presence for Ghana.